It was supposed to be a celebration. Balloons, cake, family, laughter. The kind of day you expect to feel seen and loved. Instead, I walked out of my sister's birthday party with nothing but a backpack and shame burning in my chest. No jacket. No plan. Just disbelief. Lisa had always been the favorite. She could fail a test and still get praise for trying. I could get straight A's and hear, "That's what you're supposed to do." If she broke something, it was forgiven. If I even raised my voice, I was told I had an attitude. When I graduated, life hit me harder than I expected. The job market was brutal, rent was impossible, and my savings dried up within months. I reached out to my parents, not asking for a handout, just a roof over my head for a while. They said yes, but it was clear I was unwanted. No bedroom, no privacy. Just a mattress in the basement. The unspoken message? Don't get comfortable. Lisa, on the other hand, was thriving, or so she claimed. New job, new friends, flashy Instagram posts. When her birthday came around, my parents went all out. Decorations, catering, music, the works. I tried to stay out of the way. I wasn't even dressed up, just wearing my old hoodie and jeans. I didn't expect attention. I just wanted to be treated like a person. Then, during dinner, right in front of everyone, Lisa looked across the table at me, scrunched her nose like I smelled bad, and said, "Why is he even here? He's literally homeless. Get out." And everyone laughed. Even my parents. I waited for someone to speak up, to defend me, to say anything. But my mom said, "Maybe you should go. You're kind of ruining the vibe." And that was it. No argument. No defense. No hesitation. Just a birthday party. And a broken son walking out the door with nothing but a backpack and a heart full of silence. I didn't cry that night. I didn't scream. But I swore to myself, while sitting alone at a bus stop, that one day, they'd regret every second of it. I walked out of that house feeling like trash left on the curb. No suitcase. No money. Just my phone, a dying charger, and a half-zipped backpack with a few clothes. I didn't even have a place in mind. I just walked. That first night, I ended up on a bench outside the local library. It was cold. The concrete under the bench sucked the heat right out of my body. My hoodie wasn't enough, and every few minutes, a gust of wind reminded me just how alone I was. I curled up, trying to stay warm, trying to keep my head straight. I kept replaying it over and over. Lisa's smirk, my parents' silence, the laughter from the table. My own family, the people who were supposed to protect me, threw me out like I was nothing. Not even worth a private conversation. Just get out. The next morning, I washed my face in a gas station bathroom, looked in the mirror, and said, "You're not going out like this." I meant it. I reached out to an old college friend named Troy. He'd mentioned once that if I ever needed help, his couch was always open. I hated asking, but I had no choice. To my surprise, he said yes without hesitation. "Of course, bro. Come through." That couch saved my life. From there, I started rebuilding. I dug up an old list of freelance platforms I had bookmarked in college. Fiverr, Upwork. I used to design logos and basic websites back in the day. I thought maybe, just maybe, I could get a gig or two. At first, it was brutal. Weeks went by without a single client. I ate whatever cheap stuff I could buy with loose change. Ramen, bananas, dollar store snacks. But I kept applying. I kept tweaking my pitches. I read forums, watched YouTube tutorials, studied every single successful seller I could find. Finally, someone hired me. A basic logo for a pet store. $15. Most people would laugh at that, but for me, it was proof. Proof that I could make something out of nothing. I stayed on that couch for 2 more weeks, slowly stacking small gigs. I didn't spend a dime unless I had to. I saved everything. Every dollar felt like a victory. I wasn't just surviving. I was preparing. Not for revenge. Not for applause, but to become the version of myself they never believed I could be. The grind wasn't pretty, but it was mine. By the end of the first month, I had enough saved to rent a room in a shared apartment on the sketchy side of town. Peeling paint, leaky sink, paper-thin walls, but it had a door I could close and a lock that was mine. After the basement and the bench, it felt like a palace. Every morning, I'd wake up early and check my gig apps before even brushing my teeth. I treated it like a full-time job. I redesigned my Fiverr profile, built a website, and started cold emailing small businesses offering free mock-ups. A few bites turned into real projects. $50 logos turned into $150 landing pages. Then $500 brand packages. Slowly, steadily, my name started circulating in a few small business circles online. At night, I studied web development, UI/UX, e-commerce systems, anything that could sharpen my edge. I watched hours of tutorials, read case studies, and experimented with my own mock brands. I even created a fake company just to practice building a full digital presence. I didn't tell anyone what I was doing. Not my old friends. Not Troy. Definitely not my family. I didn't want pity. I didn't want, "Wow, good for you," texts from people who'd abandoned me when I had nothing. I wanted progress in silence. And silence worked. In 6 months, I went from a $15 logo to a $3,000 full rebrand for a boutique clothing store. I paid off my room rent for 3 months in advance. Upgraded my laptop. Got a second phone strictly for client calls. I built systems, workflows, invoices, stuff I'd only ever seen CEOs talk about on LinkedIn. My client list kept growing. One even flew me out to do an in-person strategy session. I remember standing in that hotel room, clean sheets, paid for by a company that trusted my skills, and thinking, asterisk, they called me homeless. Look at me now. Asterisk. And still, my family hadn't reached out. No, how are you? No, where did you go? They never even asked if I was alive. That was fine. Because every day I improved was another nail in the coffin of their assumptions. I didn't disappear. I was building, quietly, consistently, and deliberately. And soon, they'd see me again, not as the homeless failure they mocked, but as someone they couldn't even recognize. Nearly a year had passed when I finally saw them again. It wasn't planned. My cousin Sarah was getting engaged and invited me to her party through a mutual friend, probably assuming I wouldn't show up. I almost didn't. But then I thought, why not? I didn't need revenge. I needed closure. And if they happened to see how far I'd come, well, that was just a bonus. I pulled up to the venue in my own car. Not a Lamborghini, just a clean, sharp electric sedan I paid for in full. No loans, no drama. I wore a simple navy suit, nothing flashy, but it fit perfectly. Confidence doesn't come from logos. It comes from knowing you built yourself from scratch. As I stepped inside, heads turned. People who hadn't seen me in months whispered. Some smiled awkwardly. Lisa, standing near the buffet with a glass of wine, actually dropped her phone. Her eyes widened as if she'd seen a ghost in a tux. And then my parents noticed me. My mom's jaw dropped. My dad actually said, "Is that?" I just smiled and walked past them. No hugs. No greetings. Just polite nods. I didn't owe them anything. Let them wonder. Let them stew in the silence they fed me for a year. But the moment that really hit, someone at the party recognized me, not as a relative, but from a viral case study I'd written online about my branding work. "Hey, you're the guy who built that viral campaign for Velvet and Pine, right? I shared your post last week." I nodded. That was me. Now the room was buzzing. Lisa overheard. So did my mom. And just like that, I wasn't the homeless burden anymore. I was somebody. Someone valuable. Respected. Even admired. Lisa came over a few minutes later, clearly trying to fake a casual smile. "Wow. Look at you. You clean up nice. I looked at her for a moment and simply replied, yeah, it's amazing what you can do when people stop treating you like trash. Her smile cracked. She opened her mouth to say something, but I didn't let her. I turned and walked away, calm, quiet, untouchable. They thought kicking me out would be the end of me. They had no idea. It was the beginning. I didn't expect the apologies, but they came anyway. A week after the engagement party, my mom texted me for the first time in nearly a year. You looked really good at Sarah's party. We should talk. 2 hours later, my dad followed up with a simple, hope things are going well. Maybe come by sometime. And then came Lisa. She sent a long paragraph on Instagram, full of backhanded compliments. You really turned your life around. I guess I didn't realize how capable you were. I was going through a lot back then, and I didn't mean what I said. Didn't mean what she said? She pointed at me in front of a room full of people and called me homeless like it was a punchline. No, she meant it. She just didn't like that the punchline came back to own the whole joke. I didn't respond to any of them. Not out of spite. Out of clarity. I had learned something in that year away from them. Blood isn't loyalty. And just because someone shares your DNA doesn't mean they deserve a seat at your table, especially when they laughed while watching you starve. They laughed when I had nowhere to sleep. Now they sit quietly while I sign contracts with 5-figure checks attached. They ignored me when I was broken. Now they want to be part of the success story they never believed in. No. I'm not angry anymore. I'm not out for revenge. I'm just not going back. These days, I live on my own terms. I built a business I love, a small team that respects me, and a peaceful apartment that no one can throw me out of. I mentor kids who grew up like me. And every morning, I look in the mirror knowing I made it, without shortcuts, without fake support, and without needing to prove anything to anyone. They cry now, I hear. Lisa posted a cryptic quote about losing what matters the other day. My mom still tries calling once in a while. But I'm done. Because when someone points at you and calls you worthless in front of the world, and then regrets it once the world starts clapping for you, you don't let them back in. You keep walking forward. And never, ever turn around. Some people won't see your worth until the world claps for you. But the truth is, you were never worthless. They were just blind. See, people love to celebrate success, but they rarely stand beside you during silence, struggle, or survival. And when they betray you at your lowest, believe me, they don't deserve front-row seats when you rise. What my sister, my parents, and half my family didn't realize is that you never humiliate someone who's still writing their story. Because the ending might make you look like a fool. If you've ever been kicked when you were down, laughed at for being broke, told that you don't belong, just know this. You don't need to explain yourself. You don't need revenge. All you need is focus. Focus on becoming so solid, so grounded, and so untouchable that the same people who once looked down on you won't even be able to look you in the eye. Let them laugh. Let them leave. Let them underestimate you. And then, when the time comes, walk past them with peace in your heart and power in your silence. Because success isn't just about money. It's about knowing you made it, without losing who you are. And that's a story worth telling.